It can determine the course of a relationship, the atmosphere of a workplace, or even the emotional climate of an entire community. This tool is particularly powerful in emotionally charged or repetitive situations. It's also useful in leadership, teamwork, and family relationships. Every interaction we have with another human being is an exchange of energy. Someone acts through words, gestures, tone, or even silence, and we respond. It sounds simple, yet this tiny moment between action and reaction holds immense power. It can determine the course of a relationship, the atmosphere of a workplace, or even the emotional climate of an entire community. At Tianmei World Academy, I often introduce a tool called the action-reaction model. It helps people pause before reacting, reflect on their own center, and choose responses that align with their values rather than with impulsive emotional patterns. This model reminds us we cannot always control what happens to us, but as the center of our own environment, we can always choose what happens through us and how we want to influence others. What is the action-reaction model? The action-reaction model is based on a simple but profound observation from environmental psychology. Our environments are systems of continuous feedback. Every action we take becomes part of someone else's environment. Every reaction we express shapes the conditions for future actions. In other words, Newton's third law of motion is very applicable in human relationships as well. Think of a relationship as a living ecosystem. One person's behavior, the action, generates a response, the reaction, that either reinforces or transforms the system's equilibrium. When reactions are unconscious or automatic, we perpetuate old patterns. When they are conscious and grounded in awareness, we begin to redesign the relationship and, by extension, our shared environment. The model invites us to ask three guiding questions. What was the action that just occurred? What is my reaction? And where is it coming from? What reaction would be most aligned with the environment I want to co-create? When is this useful? This tool is particularly powerful in emotionally charged or repetitive situations, moments when we feel triggered, misunderstood, or powerless. It's also useful in leadership, teamwork, and family relationships where miscommunication can easily escalate. In personal life, it helps break cycles of argument or resentment by teaching us to pause and observe rather than retaliate. In professional settings, it fosters constructive feedback and psychological safety, making collaboration smoother and more authentic. In social contexts, it encourages empathy and curiosity instead of judgment, bridging differences in perspective and background. At its core, the action-reaction model cultivates response ability, the ability to respond rather than react. This subtle shift from reaction to response transforms chaos into choice. How it intersects with the center of my environment? In the previous video, we explored how the center of my environment helps us reclaim agency by consciously designing the spaces and relationships around us. The action-reaction model is the next step in this process. As the center of our own environments, we are also elements in other people's environments, just as they are elements in ours. Our words, moods, and behaviors ripple outward, shaping how others feel and act. When we realize this, the illusion of isolation dissolves. Every interaction becomes an act of co-creation. We can't control other people's actions. They arise from their own histories, experiences, and emotional landscapes, but we can control or choose our reactions. And our reaction, in turn, becomes the next action in their environment. It's a continuous feedback loop. When we consciously choose our reactions, we take leadership not through authority, but through example. We embody the timeless principle, treat others as you'd like to be treated. In systems thinking, this is called leading from the emergent center, influencing the whole system by acting with integrity within your own sphere of control. How it helps build meaningful relationships? Most conflicts do not begin with major betrayals. They start with small misunderstandings, unmet expectations, or habitual defenses. Over time, these micro-reactions accumulate like invisible dust, clouding the relationship's emotional air. By applying the action-reaction model, we clean that air. We learn to ask, what if this person's action is not about me, but about something in their environment? What is this moment inviting me to learn about myself? How can my reaction contribute to healing rather than escalation? This simple awareness transforms relationships from battlegrounds into laboratories for empathy. It allows love, friendship, and collaboration to evolve on the foundation of mutual understanding instead of projection. In essence, the model teaches emotional design, crafting relational environments that are safe, curious, and respectful of difference. How it supports inclusion and equity? At a societal level, the action-reaction model mirrors the ethical stance needed for a more inclusive and equitable world. When we react to difference with fear or defensiveness, we reinforce systems of exclusion. When we pause to understand, we open the door to connection and change. Equity begins in the micro moments, in how we respond to someone's accent, background, gender, expression, or way of thinking. Every reaction communicates whether the other person is welcome in our environment. Choosing empathy over judgment is, in fact, a design decision, one that shapes the psychological architecture of inclusion. Imagine a workplace where people respond to mistakes with curiosity instead of blame, or a city where citizens react to social differences with dialogue instead of polarization. The cumulative effect of these conscious reactions would be transformative. How the model improves mental well-being? From a psychological perspective, applying the action-reaction model strengthens emotional regulation, one of the most reliable predictors of mental health. When we pause between stimulus and response, we activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for conscious decision-making, rather than letting the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, take over. This reduces anxiety, improves focus, and increases our sense of control. Over time, this practice cultivates self-efficacy, the belief that our actions can influence outcomes. That belief, research shows, is essential for resilience and overall well-being. When we see ourselves not as victims of circumstance, but as co-designers of our environments, we begin to heal the learned helplessness that modern life often imposes. Here's a simple practice to try. Think of a recent moment when someone's action upset or disappointed you. Describe the action objectively without attaching judgment. Notice your initial reaction, emotional, physical, or behavioral. Ask yourself, what would a reaction aligned with my values look like? If needed, take a pause before responding. Even silence can be a powerful design choice. Repeat this exercise regularly. You'll start noticing how much creative space exists between what happens and how you respond, and how each conscious reaction reshapes your environment. The invisible backpack connection. Of course, our actions and reactions don't appear out of nowhere. They are influenced by what I call the invisible backpack, the sum of our life experiences, cultural conditioning, and unspoken memories that we carry everywhere we go. Each backpack contains our learned behaviors, fears, and coping mechanisms. When two people's backpacks meet, they sometimes clash, not because either person is wrong, but because they are carrying different histories. Understanding this helps us replace judgment with compassion. Instead of asking, what's wrong with this person, we begin to ask, what might this reaction be protecting? In the next video, I'll dive deeper into the invisible backpack, what it is, how it shapes our daily lives, and how unpacking it can free us from repeating patterns that no longer serve us. Please make sure to subscribe to receive the notification when the next video is published. Towards the end, I would like to say that the action-reaction model is not just a communication technique. It's a philosophy of living. It reminds us that we are all interconnected centers of overlapping environments. It teaches us that leadership begins not with power, but with presence. And it shows us that small acts of awareness can ripple outward to create cultures of empathy, inclusion, and trust. Every reaction we choose plants a seed for the kind of world we want to live in. So next time you find yourself at that delicate threshold between action and reaction, take a breath and choose to design, not just to react.
我明白了。